The Locked On Podcast Network presents the Big 6 in 60. The 6 biggest national sports stories from the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Get the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big 6 in 60 starts now with the biggest story in sports.
The Pacers do it again. They come back from their deathbed, beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast.
The never dead, never out of a game. You don't beat the Pacers. They just run out of time. Indiana Pacers, who have done what I would have considered their comeback against the Bucks a once-in-a-lifetime game. I would have considered the comeback against the Cavs a once-in-a-lifetime game. And today they won up to both of them. They keep doing this. It's unbelievable. It doesn't make any sense. Down 14 inside the last 3 minutes, down 9 in the final minute. The Pacers beat the Knicks in the Garden, their first conference finals win in 11 years. Derek Kramer, who's been on all these post-game shows with me after these crazy comebacks, because he asked me to do it after the Bucks game. We said, I'll make it a thing for all these crazy games. It's his third time in the playoffs. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. They did it again. What a moment for the Pacers to start the conference finals like this. They're up 1-0. We have so much to get to. I have nothing else to say. Let's just get right to it. This started because Derek messaged me after the Pacers-Bucks miracle in the first round, and Derek said, I have to talk about that game. It was amazing, and I thought that was a once-in-a-lifetime game. Yes, Derek, please come on this podcast and talk about it. And since then, there have been 2 more once-in-a-lifetime games in 2 weeks. I don't get it. You don't get it. Nobody gets it except for the Pacers. They get it. They keep doing it. Pacers 1, Knicks 0. Aaron Nesmith, superhero, one of the best 5-minute stretches, not of a role player, of any player in a playoff game. Tyrese Halliburton, Stones again on these step back shots. It looked like a 3. It wasn't. It was in the air for 2 hours. It went in. It bounced out of the arena and came back. He does Reggie Miller celebration with Reggie Miller right there. He scored 31 points, all very poetic. The Pacers down 17 in the fourth quarter, down 14 with 3 minutes to go, down 8 in the final minute. How do they keep doing this? I can't believe it. I'm at these games and I can't believe it. In some ways, I wonder if they can't believe it, but their spirit is there. They never give up. You do not beat the Pacers. You just run out of time. Pacers 1, Knicks 0. Derek, thank you for joining me after my 1 minute what again. Do I have we've done this exact podcast twice. It's just ridiculous that they keep doing this.
Like I said, just continue the tradition. This is unbelievable. I can't believe that they keep doing this. Like, there are just so many numbers of like, this is impossible. Like, I think it was like 99.7% chance of victory or whatever for the Knicks. Like, those numbers are now meaningless.
Meaningless.
977 teams in the playoffs had won a game up by 14 with 3 minutes left, I think was the number. 0 had lost. 0. Almost 1,000 games. And the Pacers just did that. Like
the Knicks' latest 14-point lead came after a Jalen Brunson step back 3 with 2 minutes and 51 seconds to go.
Yeah, like I just rewatched the whole like last 5 minutes of the fourth, and it's just like there were so many moments where like, okay, that's probably the Knicks probably prevented this from happening. And then Aaron Nesmith happened.
That's what makes this one feel a little different to me. Like, the Bucks one was in overtime. They had played the Bucks even for 48 minutes. Like, it was realistic that they were fighting with them. It felt helpless at the time, obviously, but like, whatever. The Cavs one was similar, like close. They were down early, but like close-ish for a lot of the second half. So like, still ridiculous that it happened, but like within reason that the game should have been close. The Pacers had this terrible run of play to start the fourth. Jalen Brunson gets his 5th foul, and then the Knicks just go crazy. They go up a ton in that quarter. This one felt different to me in that it felt like over. The Pacers just blew a chance late. They were, I think the Knicks' biggest lead was 17. Yeah, six minutes to go. It was 111-94, right? This one felt over. And then to have what you just described, many moments, the Brunson 3 I just talked about, another Brunson layup, the Towns one, to me, the Towns cut when he scored in the paint after Nesmith's like 4-3, I think, when they went up 8 with 42 seconds to go. That one felt like it to me personally, because the number in my head's always been 7. That's what they've come back from the first 2 times. It just doesn't make sense. And like the other thing that you and I said the same thing how many times now? Like every time I've done this, is two things that make these possible. So apologies if you've heard the rant before. Here it comes. It takes Pacers taking advantage of every opportunity, and it takes the other team giving them a gift in some way that they have to take advantage of. There wasn't as much of that from the Knicks. They had
just like bad defense gifts.
Yes, they had one turnover, obviously, but they mostly just like missed one of two here or there. They just couldn't stop Aaron Nesmith. Tyrese Haliburton deserves the story because he hit the shot at the buzzer and did the Reggie thing and has done the final shot in all three of these. Like, that is the thing. But Nesmith's run was out of this world, like flow state, out of this world, unbelievable. How is this happening? And you know it, I know it. People who have not watched Aaron Nesmith this year don't know it. He is a way better play finisher at this time. The first of his crazy run, I'm so sorry, Derek, I gotta let you talk, came with 4:45 to go when they were down 15, 6 threes between then and the end of regulation. It didn't make sense. He made both his free throws. That's what it was just insane.
First player Aaron Nesmith is to hit 6 threes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. He only needed 5 minutes to do it.
Needed less than 5.
Well, he hit the first one with 5 minutes left, but he hit the last 5 with 2 minutes left.
Unbelievable.
Or 3, something like that. But he hit 3 in the last minute in less than 30 seconds.
On the move.
In less than 30 seconds, he hit those last 3 3-pointers that got them to within 2 and then put the Knicks in the situation where they did choke.
Wow, you're right.
Karl Anthony Towns missed the second free throw, and you could just hear the Knicks crowd. Like, when he missed that free throw, that whole arena was like, what the is going to happen right now?
Derek, now I have to bleep.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't know if I've ever actually cursed on the pod before.
That's the moment needs it.
That's what they felt.
The moment needs it, though. Yeah.
And then OG does the same thing and misses the first one. And like, there's just so many things where it's like, oh, that was their chance. Like, you thought it was going to be the Nembhard steal again. Like, he was so close to getting that when Josh Hart
slipped. Yeah.
And like, Nembhard tried to reach out for it first instead of just like going for it. And Hart was able to catch up, like, oh man, that was the one. Or even the challenge when like it looked like OG was going to get an easy basket, and then he kind of lost the ball on the way up, and Pascal knocked it out. And even
that was the only turnover, and it was very close to not being a turnover, like milliseconds.
And even though like the refs ended up making the right call there on the review, you still felt like, oh, that might have been like them being able to get out and transition potentially and getting an easy basket. Like, that felt like, oh, they might have lost their chance even if they do get the ball here. And it's just, there were just so many things that kept happening, just like all these other games, but just especially the Aaron Nesmith of it all. Just incredible. When Tyrese looks back up at the shot clock to realize he can go back to try to go for the win and go for 3, that ball hits the back of the rim, and you're like, that has a shot. And it just feels like angels in the outfield stuff. Like, for that ball to hit the back of the rim, go that high into the heavens, and then just fall straight into the net was just unbelievable. And then you're like, what? It's only a 2? Like, and then you're thinking of Kevin Durant and that whole 3. And then him doing the choke sign, saying Reggie, pointing at Reggie Miller, doing the choke sign, saying Reggie, they choked.
And it was a 2.
And it was a 2, but it doesn't matter. Like,
but hang on. But people forget Reggie's shot that he did the choke sign for also tied the game. It did not win the game in that moment. To Tyrese's completely unintentional credit, he did not do that on purpose. Yeah.
I liked him recognizing that when Reggie did that, they eventually did lose the series. So he's like, let's not repeat that part of the thing.
Yeah, getting a win in this series on the road is ridiculous. Okay, here's some moments I thought the game was over. I'm gonna run through many of them. One, Anunoby scored. He was on like a nice offensive run with about 7 minutes to go to put him up 16. And Carlisle took a timeout, and Brunson was out for that stretch. That stretch was crazy because the Pacers starters had come back in after the bench stunk to start the fourth quarter, and the starters stunk too. They were worse. They were terrible right when they came in the game. And so I thought, okay, if they just had that Brunsonless run to put this one up huge, it's over, right? It's over. And then they clawed back like a little bit. It got a little closer, but not really. It was still like 14, 12-ish. Brunson's 3 step back with under 3 minutes to go to put him up 14. I thought, okay, like any spirit Pacers-y thing we've seen in this playoffs, like that kills it. The Brunson's equally clutch, maybe. That was insane, right? That one I thought was it. And the other one that will go forgotten is when Siakam missed a free throw and then Brunson scored right at the minute mark to put him up 9. Again, that 7 number's been the number in my head because that's what their comebacks have been. That one also felt like, dang, this could have been 6. That feels like 2 possessions. Instead, it feels like 3. That one also made me think it was over. I gotta quit doing this with these guys. It's never over. I know it's never over. I need to get a tattoo of it or something, but it's just not. And all those moments, I thought it was. Even again, when Towns put him up 8, I thought it was over. But one turnover on the Siakam with a monster steal. That play on Anunoby was amazing. The Aaron Nesmith 28-second flurry, the missed free throw from Cat. And again, this is lucky. The way that Anunoby missed, being miss-make, is huge, right? That to come and take it out of the basket, be able to walk it up. Like every single thing has to go a certain way to have this stuff happen. And it all sounds like once in a lifetime odds, and it's happened 3 times in 3 weeks. And for everybody who said, oh, the Mavs won the lottery, it must be rigged. The Pacers have won 3 games with worse odds than that since like April 25th.
The NBA playoffs roll on, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking your favorites or diving into player props, from 3-pointers to steals to assists. There's so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Up 14, the Knicks decided to embarrass themselves on national television and have perhaps the greatest collapse in playoff history.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast.
On the biggest stage of our lifetime, the most embarrassing, stupid loss, perhaps in the history of the New York Knicks. What a joy that we get to talk about this one today. Just a real fun bout. The Knicks had a 14-point lead with just under 3 minutes to go. They give up overtime, almost give up the whole game. Luckily, Tyrese Halliburton's toe was on the line, so his choke celebration didn't count just yet. And then they managed to blow it. Jalen Brunson played like a complete idiot for most of the second half and certainly the final part of the game. And the Knicks in general just thought that they had this one in the bag and completely fumbled away their opportunity at the biggest win of any of their fans' lifetimes. So we're going to talk about all that and then maybe try to find some silver linings at the end, because the Knicks won 45 minutes of this game and just couldn't finish the final 8. But first, we want to thank you all for making Locked On Knicks first listen today and every day, whether you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform or taking in the sights and sounds on YouTube. We appreciate you making us part of your daily routine. Make sure you hit the auto download function on your favorite podcast app or the notification bell on YouTube so you never miss an episode. Bam. All right, Gavin, start us off. I think I've raised my voice enough.
Yeah, this is the worst sports loss of my lifetime. I'll give everyone a little behind the scenes. Alex, you know this. I usually watch the game slightly behind, turn off all social media because I'm taking a few, in this case, 1,000 words of notes that will probably never see the light of day. And you know what, frankly, should not, based on how this game ended. And my girlfriend's telling me like, oh my God. And I think I told her I didn't want spoilers, but she didn't hear me. And she says, oh my God, like I can't believe it's going to overtime. And at that point they were up by, I think that was when they had the 17-point lead with about 6.5 minutes to go. It might have even been a little bit before that, but they were on that run. And I'm watching it through, Alex, and I'm like, no, she was wrong. She was wrong, because there's no way they could possibly.
Must have been the other basketball game on tonight, right? That was the other.
Clearly, it's the other. It's the other one. Because there's no way they could blow. Because you know what? Typically in those all-time comeback situations, you see a team just start missing shots. And the Knicks were not perfect, and we're going to talk about how they went into prevent offense, which is something we always rue under Thibodeau, where they play scared, and they got freaking burned for it tonight, because you cannot play scared against this Pacers team because they are completely fearless. This is not the first time they've done it. As much as the Knicks have had incredible comebacks this playoffs, the Pacers have had 2 that are arguably even more improbable, right? They've already come back from 8 down with 30 seconds left. And by the way, before we go any further, This was the most improbable loss, not just in Knicks history, not just the worst playoff loss in Knicks history. This was arguably the worst playoff loss in NBA history. The 14-point lead with 2:45 to go in the fourth quarter. Teams in those situations were previously 994-0 since 1997, according to Josh Dubow of the AP. But no, that was not enough. The Knicks kept making shots, still up by 9 with a minute left, and yet they can't grasp in their heads, Alex, that if you just switch, and it wasn't even their crappy defenders, right? It wasn't Cat. It was Brunson once or twice, but it wasn't all Brunson. It was twice Mikal Bridges. It was multiple times OG Anunoby, who also could not make a free throw, could not catch the ball offensively, could not hit an open shot down the stretch of this game. And yet these guys who are all-world defenders and for 40-plus minutes were spectacular. I really want to curse. We are not allowed to curse. This is on TV. Were spectacular defensively, and yet they cannot grasp that they are capable of just a hard switch onto Aaron Nesmith. He is not going to toast you 30 feet from the rim. Mikal Bridges, he's not going to toast you 30 feet from the rim. OG Anunoby, and in spite of all of that, if Jalen Brunson, if OG Anunoby, if Karl Anthony Towns, if you just make your free throws, if Tyrese Halliburton doesn't hit, and he has a propensity for doing this, guy has some devil magic on his side, if he doesn't hit the shot of a lifetime that Mitchell Robinson played some great defense on, you still win this game. Even if you get the goaltending call with 2:50 left in OT, you win this game. But you know what? The Knicks did not deserve to win this game. They would have won, and I would have come on here and said a lot of the same things, Alex, because in no world did the Knicks deserve to win this game with the way they closed it. They didn't respect this moment that is so treasured by millions of people across the world. They have been waiting 50 years to see this team win a championship, a lifetime. Knicks fans have lived great lives and died watching this team, begging for them to have an opportunity like this, and they didn't take it seriously. They fooled around. They played with fire so many times this year, and tonight they found out.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of the worst version of it too, but this isn't something that's unique to this Knicks team. I think as I was watching this and things started unraveling, there's a term that I've used I think a few times this year to describe how they often play offense late in games when they're leading, and it's like prevent offense. It's like a version of a football team trying to kneel out the final 3 minutes of clock.
Punting on third down.
Right. Like this is not this is not football. Like you cannot have a 10-point lead or 14-point lead, whatever, with 3 minutes to go and assume, yeah, let's just take the foot off the gas. It's fine. We're good. Like we have how many 24-second shot clocks do we have? Like it's not, there's no way they could even like make this work, Matt. No, it doesn't work that way. Like this is basketball. This is not football. Like you cannot just like screw around and assume that you're going to win the game just because you managed to play. And like, to be clear, again, like they destroyed the Pacers for the first 45 minutes of this game. Like it was not close.
And
it was close early,
quick,
but the Knicks
Jalen
really
Brunson off the floor, it was a 14-0 run after Jalen Brunson picks up their fifth foul.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of threw away a run that on its face is almost as improbable as the 21-0 run that they had in the first game of this playoffs. And that one bailed them out. This one, they shot themselves in the foot. They literally threw that run away down the stretch of this game. And it's just like, I mean, look, the defense sucked. Like I'll let the points that you just made stew a little bit before we get more into it. But some of this got to go on Jalen Brunson too, man. Like we give him all the flowers for all the good things that he does. And, he had 43 points in this game. So it seems weird to be like, oh, Jalen Brunson really kind of screwed the pooch down the stretch of this game. But he did. He was the worst defender of grinding this offense to a halt down the stretch of this game, waving off screens. And I mean, I'm sure that this was at Tibbs' behest, but insisting on not getting into actions until there was like 5 seconds left on the shot clock and it was emergency mode. And then like doing stupid crap, like taking a screen and just like running directly into Miles Turner, like head first and dropping the ball, losing the ball that way, like making stupid passes. Underreported thing before OG Anunoby missed his free throws, Brunson made one of the most stupid, risky passes I think I've ever seen in my life at the end of regulation. Just like throwing like a two-handed bounce pass that went like 20 feet in the air out of pure desperation. And luckily OG happened to grab it. But like, I don't know what the hell he was doing. Like, I don't know what the team was doing. He, unfortunately, and I mean, it's funny because Prez and I were just talking about this on the one episode I did with him previewing the series, but like, unfortunately, Knicks fans can't beat the Brunson foul baiter allegations again for a while, because he spent the whole last part of this game just being like pissed off that, you know, he wasn't getting calls with Aaron Nesmith on him or whatever, and just like ramming into him like he was like a billy goat or something, like just slamming his shoulder into him play after play and then doing the flail thing. And it's like, dude, I thought we left this behind in like game 2 versus Detroit. Like, he did that. He embarrassed himself in that game doing that. And then this game, he comes back and does it again. And it's just like, I don't know how long it's going to take him to realize, like, you know, this is different. Like, it's still the playoffs. Like, and I didn't love the whistle. I thought the whistle kind of sucked in this game, but that's no excuse. You got to adapt to what the whistle is. And instead of like realizing, hey, maybe I'm not getting these calls, he just went the other direction and was just like, I'm going to force them to make that call. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to make really stupid fouls on the other end too, and get myself in foul trouble in like the third quarter and the early fourth quarter, just for the fun of it. Like, I don't know, man. It was one of my least favorite Jalen Brunson games I've ever watched in my life. And the only thing we can hope now is that he responds in a way like he did after that game 2 loss to Detroit, and comes back in this thing and, you know, crushes on Friday, and then takes that energy into Indy, and the Knicks continue being road warriors. Because this was, man, I feel so bad for the people that went and spent a mortgage payment to go see this game and had to see that ending. Like, if I'm James Dolan or like one of these guys on this team making like $40+ million, I'm going out of pocket to refund everybody in the building tonight, because they blew it. They ruined an experience for the fans, and they don't deserve anything after tonight. I mean, this is terrible, and they need to recalibrate and come back way better on Friday and be prepared to actually finish a game, because they did not come prepared to do that today.
SGA wins his first MVP award. Well-deserved.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It was finally announced by the NBA today, what we came to expect as the polling numbers came in. SGA won the Most Valuable Player award, his first MVP, the Thunder's third MVP in 12 years. The only team that's ever done that had a 12-year span with 3 MVPs, especially 3 different players winning the MVP, with Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and of course, SGA now. And it was not a close vote. It was a landslide, 71-29. Shea and Jokic were the two that had first place votes, rightfully so. And this was just an amazing season for SGA. It was an amazing season for Nikola Jokic. And really, when you look at the season that Shea had, it will go down as one of the best scoring seasons a guard's ever had when you look at the efficiency. Only Michael Jordan has put up this season. When you look at the points, the assists, and the efficiency, it's only been Michael Jordan. Like, that's how special what Shea did this season, and how special it was. He led the league in points, and if you take away all of his fourth quarter points, he would have been second in the NBA for scoring, because he did his work in 3 quarters as teams were blowing out. The Thunder were blowing out teams on their way to 68 wins. And I think that can get lost too in all of this MVP stuff for Shea, is that they won 68 games. They were expected to be good. They were the 1 seed last year. They made great offseason moves. A lot of people predicted that they would hit that 60-win mark, that they would be the top seed in the West. But if I take you back to November 10th, after Chet broke his hip, this was not expected to be one of just 7 teams who have hit the 68+ win mark. And especially when you factor in that it's not just Chet who missed time. Alex Caruso missed significant time. Isaiah Hartenstein missed significant time. J-Dub missed time sprinkled in. Like J. Will and Kenrich Williams as well. Like, there's so many obstacles in this Thunder team's way that did not hinder them from such a successful season, the best record in the league, the best point differential ever for a team in the NBA, the best cross-conference record in the NBA, and it's all stemming from what Shea does as the head of the snake. And he had a great individual season as well, averaging 32.7 points, 5 rebounds, 6.4 assists, 1.7 steals, and a block per game, while shooting 52% from the floor, 51.9 if you want to be technical, 37% from beyond the arc, and 89% at the free throw line. This is a well-deserved honor. This is what's supposed to happen through the course of NBA history. I will say, I still think that Jokic is the best player in the world. I still think that Jokic had a great season. I do not bemoan any of the 29 people who voted for Jokic to win this honor. My thing was the precedent that we've set as a league of, we've never just continuously handed the MVP award to the best player in the world. Like, that's why MJ and LeBron do not have every single MVP ever created. That's why, it would be foolish, in my opinion, to have Jokic have the MVP and bring him that mark to MJ and bring him that mark to LeBron, because we've just never done it that way. And again, if a 68-win season and one of the best, most efficient scoring seasons we've ever seen from a guard isn't enough to dethrone Jokic, then it never would have been enough. You would have always had to give the MVP award to Jokic, because he's always going to have a triple-double, and he's always going to pull a Nuggets roster that you look at and say, how'd they win 50 games? He's always going to do that. He'll do that again next year and the year after that and the year after that. This was a special season from SGA, and it was a special day. I mean, to see him be named MVP, to go to his MVP press conference was special. He bought his teammates Rolexes, which was a courtesy of J-Will, who last year, whenever they were joking around on the bus, Shea said that his teammates were asking him what he was going to do for them as he won the MVP award. And it was kind of J-Will that spearheaded that. And he gets the whole team Rolexes. This was an amazing press conference where Shea was super raw and emotional and insightful and overwhelmed. And he was really, I think that the word could be liberated up there. He had his guard down. He was transparent in talking about his journey and talking about his support system, both with the organization and with his home life. And credit to him, because he did cry whenever he was talking about his wife Haley, and that was awesome to kind of see that side of him. But he did recover and made a great speech and answered the questions very well. I asked him about Mark, and he called Mark insane and went on about how Mark has helped him get to this spot, which is impressive for Mark, I think, because you've seen Shea play for legendary coaches already, both in this league and, of course, in college. And so for Mark to be sharing that moment with him as they both were laughing, that was fun. Just the entire day for Shea was great, obviously, to get your first MVP, but just the genuine nature of that press conference, you can go back and watch on YouTube, on the Thunder's official YouTube channel. I would recommend every Thunder fan, at least, to go do that and hear from the MVP himself, because it was a great experience to be there. Obviously, all of you are a part of that as well. Without the boost in the old platform, these are some of the doors that open. So I appreciate you all listening, because that was great to be at. But Shea winning MVP, again, you can only compare the season to MJ, in terms of the statistics, and he is at worst a top 3 player in the world. I think that he's the second best player in the world behind Jokic. You can put him first if you want to. Obviously, he's the best player this season because he's won MVP, and he's doing it in a way that isn't just individual driven. He's obviously a great individual player, but it's making his teammates better. It's creating an environment to allow for Chet and for J-Dub to grow. And, you can think back to prior MVPs, the shadow that they cast, the play style that they have oftentimes is not nurturing to young players. And the fact that this is the second youngest team in NBA history to get a number 1 seed, only behind last year's number 1 team, where Shea was also an MVP talks. He was the runner-up for the MVP award, kind of on the opposite end of this voting margin a year ago, where it was just him and Jokic again last year. It just shows that his play style is not deductive from other players. It's additive to other players, on top of it being just an insanely great formula for this team to win. They won 68 games. They've won 2 playoff series now, and they're up 1-0 in the Western Conference Finals. We don't know how the Western Conference Finals will end. We don't know where this season ends for Oklahoma City, but this was certainly a special season for Shea and a great developmental story for his individual sake. And we've had a lot of these, right? Like Giannis is a great developmental MVP. Jokic, of course, is a great developmental MVP as a second round guy. But Shea was also this, kind of overlooked lottery pick, went to the Clippers, then was thrown into the Paul George trade as like the staple of that trade, along with the draft picks that the Clippers had. But the draft picks overshadowed, like on the initial night that the Thunder traded for Shea, the draft picks overshadowed Shea himself. And now you see what he's blossomed into. And he's kind of had this gradual growth of, borderline all-star. Okay, is this kind of who he is? Like, he could be an all-star a couple times. That'd be cool. To solidified all-star starter, to MVP talks, to MVP runner-up, to actual MVP. And each season through his career so far, he's continued to get better and better and better. Like, this was not just like Shea's turn. This was Shea taking the MVP award. Like, he's truly improved his game this season with the element of the playmaking that he's added, how he's improved from beyond the arc, and especially creating those shots for himself beyond the arc. Like, it's all built upon itself to get to this point. And you see that he does it on both ends. You cannot have the historically great defense, which is what's allowed the Thunder to find this spot, 68 wins and up 1-0 in the West Finals, without Shea being a quality defender. And I think that his defense is underrated. I think he's the best two-way star that you have in the league because of how exceptional that his offense is and where his defensive floor is. There's not any player for my money that can do that in the NBA and fit into what the Thunder are doing, because you can have a good defense with a bad defender. You cannot have a historically great one with a bad defender. And Shea would get a lot more recognition for his level of defense if he wasn't flanked by, some of the best defenders in the world. When you go down the list of Chet and J-Dub and Caruso and Cason Wallace and Lou Dort, etc. So I think that that's another underrated part of his game, that two-way nature of it. And Shea was just fantastic this season. He was fantastic today. And it's a shame that, like, throughout the start of the morning and the afternoon, the biggest talking point around Shea and around this team was fouls and free throws.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
Yes. That just happened. 3 power play goals and a dominating third period for the Dallas Stars as they roar back to a 6-3 victory.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars.
I'll be honest, Stars fans, I was not prepared to be having this conversation with you. I had a pre-rant almost already locked and loaded after what we witnessed in the first 40 minutes of tonight's hockey game. And we're going to get to some of that because that still happened and it wasn't very good for Dallas, but we're going to appreciate what we just witnessed, an epic comeback by the Stars. And pretty much everything, I mean everything we talked about coming into this series was on display tonight, including the negatives. The stuff we hoped was going to happen, like the special teams, like the power play. The Stars go 0 for 14 last season. Kabang! They strike 3 times, and all 3 come in the third period after a horrific first power play. I mean, absolute deja vu from last year. Nightmarish stuff watching that first power play go to work for Dallas. But they figured it out. They figured it out in the third. Miro, just a wrister from distance, floats in off the body of Skinner. Granlund, I mean, that is a snipe. I mean, that is under the soffit and out. And then Duchesne, after ripping it off Rope's back, I got so anxious. I jumped off the couch when I saw the puck come off the end wall because it was a wide open net. And of course, Hens falls right where Dutchy needs to shoot it. And then he shoots it off his back and then finally comes back to him and he buries it. But we talked about all of this. Can you slow down 97 and 29? Can you contain him? Stars didn't do a very good job of that, except for the third period. Is the power play going to show up? Boom. It showed up in a gigantic way. You want depth scoring? Well, Duchesne finally scored. I was not happy with Dutchy's first 40 minutes. I really wasn't happy with anybody's first 40 minutes outside of Tyler Seguin. And we're going to touch on him too. But Duchesne scores. Then you get a goal from Heiskanen, right? Seguin with a goal or two on the night, right? Like you wanted some depth scoring too. You got it. I mean, we got everything that we wanted to see out of Dallas in the third period. It would have been nice if they were a bit more awake in the first 40 and not just taking on water. And credit to Edmonton, they are going to be a problem in the series. I still have a lot of concerns because the first 40 minutes did happen, and I know the third period is going to take a lot of the bitterness out of the contest tonight. But my goodness, what has got and I've touched on this throughout the postseason, and it's another comeback win for Dallas. They haven't scored very much first in hockey games. I think almost 8 out of the 11 games I think it was 11 out of the 15 now. They've been scored on first, something like that. It's not like they're playing out in front. They come from behind once again. The power play comes up massively. 3 power play goals tonight. You get some depth scoring, which was nice. You get some guys that really needed to get on the board, including Matt Duchesne, who has just been fighting it. Maybe that will unlock something. Hopefully it does, because, boy, they're going to need a lot more out of him, not just 20 minutes of solid hockey. Wow. I'm almost speechless to what we just saw. But again, everything we talked about leading up to this series happened for Dallas in the third period. And this is what they have to do to beat this Edmonton team, because they are dangerous. And they are a darn good club. You can see that. And we witnessed that for the first 2 periods. But if Dallas can score when they get their opportunities, they can win this series. They really can. They can win this series if they capitalize on some of their looks. Like Seguin, when he got that breakaway, I'm saying to myself from the red line, you have to score on these. You have to score on these. And we talked with Sam Dessler, DLS. What did he say today? Can the Stars win 4-3? Can they win 5-4 hockey games in this series against Edmonton? Because they're going to have to do it. Well, they proved that tonight, 6-3. And obviously the power play helped. Look, you take the 3 power play goals away, it's 3-3. And you take an empty netter, like Dallas loses the game. That's how crucial special teams is. And this has just been the recipe for Dallas this postseason. They may get outplayed, but they're going to score and get saves when they need to. And they made a great kill, had a great kill in that third period too. After they went up, it was Bischel that took a minor penalty for hooking, and they had a massive kill in that third period to at least keep the Oilers off the board, and then they shut it down from there. It's another just dominating third period. It's a complete 180 to what we saw the final month of the regular season, when they were just blowing third period leads left and right. They blew 3 in a row at one point, and it was like, what are we watching? And that's sort of the same feeling tonight. Like, what did we just witness? five goals, 3 power play tallies, and what the recipe has to be for Dallas. The recipe for Dallas to win this series is what we saw in that third period. Can they elongate it for as many of the 60 minutes possible in each game the rest of the way? That's still going to be a big question. But what a thrilling victory. What a thrilling victory. The American Airlines Center was buzzing. The roof was going to come off the building tonight. And I just thought really, really excellent stuff that the Stars were able to get to. And credit to Pete DeBoer, too. He tried to switch up the lines. They weren't working. And he switched it up in the third period, and it helped. And, of course, the Oilers' penalties certainly had a hand in what Dallas was able to do. But Duchesne back with Sagan and Marchment, that looked great. And this is outside of just the power plays. They were finally able to get some pressure, just like sustained pressure. The first 20 minutes, first 40 minutes, just really passive, and allowing Edmonton to use their speed and creativity to their advantage. That's a really, really good team. And they move the puck so well, and they have phenomenal speed on the outside that I think it's going to be a real problem for Dallas the rest of the way. But it's going to exacerbate the issue if Dallas is not putting a body on McDavid or putting a body on Draisaitl. And we're going to get to that at the end of today's episode too, about slowing them down, because we also saw a recipe for success in this third period as well for Dallas on 29. Or maybe it was just Miro Heiskanen, who was brilliant tonight. He was so darn good. And now he's fresh because he didn't have to be run into the ground the first two rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Oh, some of the work he did was chef's kiss. Thomas Harley had himself an off night, was not his strongest game, but that's okay. I think Harley deserves a night off for having a bad night. I think that's more than fair after what he's shown us. Let's just look at some of the numbers for this third period. At 5-on-5, right? Let's just look at even strength. Scoring chances, 4 for Dallas, 6 for the Oilers. High danger, 2 for Dallas, 2 for Edmonton. Expected goals for 0.51 for Dallas. It was 0.35 for Edmonton. So the special teams was the difference in this one, obviously, as you all know. But you look at the overall numbers at 5-on-5, it's all in favor of Edmonton tonight. And that's why we were preaching how important the special teams conversation was going to be. If you look at all situations, it's much more even, as you would expect. The expected goals for Edmonton, 3.24, 3.06 for Dallas. And that's where they did their damage. And credit to Dallas, credit to the Stars for not just going away in that third period. It was a massive momentum shifter for Miro to score 30 seconds into the third period. That was just so needed. If Dallas doesn't score on that power play, I don't think they sniff coming back to equalize that game. I could be wrong, and you could disagree, but Miro scoring 30 seconds in was just massive, and it allowed Dallas to finally get some momentum in a game where they really didn't have any.
The NBA playoffs roll on, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and you place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. FanDuel makes betting easy, whether it's picking your favorites or diving into player props, from three-pointers to steals to assists. There's so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
It's the Eagles Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything Philadelphia Eagles, every week.
The NFL owners' meetings in Minnesota do not come up with enough votes to ban the tush push. According to Adam Schefter, final vote of proposed ban for the tush push per sources, 22-10. So sorry. You know what they needed? They needed a tush push to push it across. Just 2 more votes, and it would have gone down It did not go down that way, fellas. We live in a tush-push society still.
I'm happy about it. I brought some props in honor of the tush push remaining. First of all, because the tush push days, I got my extra strength 5-hour energy to bring the alacrity on the program. And because they did the right thing, I got the old CCM twig out, and I'm giving them stick taps, Harry.
Oh,
Stick taps to keep the tush push. CCM
ultimate
twig
sign.
right here.
Ultimate sign of respect. Ultimate sign of respect right there.
Well,
Yeah,
I've always
thank
been a
you, Joe.
tushman. A fan of the tush, and the more you can push the tush, the better it is for everybody. And
it real
great
good.
job on the yes, push it real good. Good job on the Eagles' social media people, because they include that photo, and they were playing the Packers, who of course were the impetus organization for this nonsense, and it's going to make that game on Monday night after the bye week even more interesting now. 22-10, maybe that's a foreshadowing of the final score.
Yeah, and a tush push to get the go-ahead touchdown.
Right. I think they should run it on the first play, the second play, the third play, and the fourth play, and just convert a first down by 2.5 yards a pop.
Solely on the tush push.
Yeah.
By the way, Billy Gibbons will be appearing at that game,
Right.
to sing the halftime entertainment of Tush.
I had a phenomenal suggestion by a viewer and a listener of my show, My Daily Pod, and it's they said the April, got to give her credit. She said, while we're talking about player safety and pace of play, I think we should ban leaping into the stands after a touchdown.
Yeah, the Lambeau leap, as they call it, right?
We should ban it. We should ban it. That's not safe.
Right.
And they're taking forever. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree. The Latin Inferno says the Eagles defeated the Packers 22-10 last year in the wild card.
That's correct. That's correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Foreshadowing.
How about that?
Good job, Latin Inferno.
Serendipitous, I believe is what that is. I believe that would be. But we talked about this. I think, Jason, you said it stays. Harry, you said it would go. I think you and I, Harry, said it would go. Or did you say it would stay?
No, I said it would go, and then I put out earlier this morning. Diana Rossini had information that she's been told that the tush push will be banned. So apparently she had bad information.
Good. I love when reporters are wrong.
Yeah.
The Eagles the Eagles sent Jason Kelsey, who was just in Philadelphia for, I think, Mike Quick's golf outing, just sent him out to Minnesota to lobby for the tush push to stay. So Jason Kelsey went out there, and I guess the man still has some sway, not just on podcast networks, or commercials, but also still with the NFL. And he apparently lobbied for it to stay. And here we are, gentlemen, still in the tush push era of the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, put it this way. I thought it was going to be gone. And Jason, I think I have that right, that you thought it was going to stay.
Yeah, I did.
Everyone was saying it was going to go. And people were given the attitude of, you might not believe this, but they're going to whip up enough votes in order to ban this. And this doesn't make any sense to me, but these people seem pretty confident. I'm going to go with them. And Adam Schefter was one of those guys, a lot of the national guys that are certainly more close to the other NFL teams around the league, obviously. And I'm listening, I'm like, wow, this seems like it wouldn't make any damn sense to ban it. So seeing that it is going to stay, and seeing that the Eagles have spiked the metaphorical football with their own social media post about it, I have to say justice prevailed, gentlemen, because you really can't ban this play and can't make an argument to ban the play unless the argument is, I just don't like it. It's like, when you're young and you tell your parents, why can't I do it? They're like, because I said so. Like, that's not an argument, but that's the rule. That's the ruling.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to go along the lines of your parents telling you because I said so. It didn't make any sense. It's a safe play. That no one's been hurt. It doesn't stop pace of play. It doesn't halt pace of play. The rugby play, you can make a lot of arguments about football and the plays that look like rugby. Justice prevailed. I give credit to the NFL for that, at least.
Yeah, you can't ban the play just because one team's good at it and nobody else really has seemed to be able to master it, even though Buffalo apparently has run it a few times and with some success. But you talk about Jason Kelsey going out there to the owners' meetings. I saw a tweet from Jimmy Kempski 2 hours ago that he quote tweeted that with an episode from Kelsey's podcast, I guess, where they were talking about him going out there. And he goes, for context, this is Kempski now, during the owners' meetings in March, Bills co-owner Terry Pagula
reportedly fabricated some idea that Jason Kelce retired because of the tush push. Now, I had never known that before. Is that amazing or what?
I never heard that either.
That's interesting.
That
a co-owner would go to the lengths of lying and creating just some false narrative to try to get rid of this
Hall
play.
of Famer?
Yeah, exactly.
Just to put the thought out there. That's the old Roger Clemens line. How do you disprove a negative? Like once you put the thought out there in somebody's head that this could have happened, even though it's based in no reality, now I'm thinking of it as Jason Kelce, even though there's no evidence to support, maybe he did call it quits. Maybe that's what took him so long after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playoff loss to consider whether or not he should come back to the NFL.
If that was the case, the Eagles would have voted against it.
Yeah,
they lost a Hall of Fame center because of the play. And I imagine they wouldn't run it anymore. As Captain Jack Ross once said in A Few Good Men, these are the facts of the case, and they are not disputed. The fact of the matter is it doesn't cause injury because it hasn't caused injury. And I'm glad to see that, the NFL owners and the people voting on this didn't think they were Nostradamus and predicting that it would cause injury in the future. If it hasn't yet, maybe it will, and we'll deal with that when it does. But it hasn't yet. So you can't vote against it based on your gut feeling that someday it probably will. Well, someday we'll all probably die. Okay?
No, not probably. That's for sure.
We're all going.
It's a guarantee.
And wasn't that Kevin? That was Kevin Bacon's character, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Okay. He was the prosecutor, Captain Jack Ross.
Yeah. He had that big binder.
That and taxes.
You're a really lousy softball player, Jack.
Hold on, guys. This is just crazy. All right. I follow, for the record, I follow a number of news outlets, but I just got the notification. This made CNN.
Are you serious? They'll do anything for ratings.
Maybe
Literally a notification
for the first time.
From CNN. The tush push stays. The NFL NFL owners reportedly decide to ban the controversial tush, or not to ban the controversial tush push play, a play used exclusively by the Philadelphia Eagles. That's fake news, CNN.
Yeah,
that right there is fake news. It's not exclusively used by the Eagles. Come on.
Jordan Mailata doesn't like the name tush push either, and I kind of agree with him.
Yes. You know what hasn't come out yet? And during the media circuit after the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts was asked about this play a number of times, but just about every show he was on. And he goes, well, they call it what they call it, but I don't call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would say, well, what do you call it? And he'd be like, I'm not going to say what we call it. And I'm like, what? I am on, fellas, I'm dying to know what Jalen Hurts calls in the huddle when they're about to run that play. Yeah. I'm sure it's something far more technical and not nearly as catchy. It's not even brotherly shove. It's not QB sneak. It's got to be something else.
Spider 2 wide banana.
It's something like that. Probably. But I didn't expect to feel as excited about this play sticking around. And it's not like I even love this play. It's just about the Eagles being right.
Yeah.
And for the people that were following. And for the right. They're already 1-0 before the 2025 season starts. But I just look at it as it made no sense. How many times do you take an L as a Philadelphia sports fan when it just doesn't make any sense? How many times, Jason, do Flyers fans feel like, they're still paying for the sins of the 70s, quote unquote? This was a win. This was a win for the Philadelphia Eagles fan base, that this play that the Eagles do run better than anybody gets to stick around. And that, that like I mentioned earlier, it's a win for justice everywhere. That's basically what it comes down to.
Here's the fact of the matter is, let's put this in tangible terms. This is like the Eagles adding a game and a half to their win total, because it could win them a game because they're so good at it. Like, I believe that the tush push has won them probably over the last 2 years, 3 games, because of the effectiveness of that play.
Sure, keep drives going.
Yeah, you keep drives going. It's first and 8 basically, because they're so good at this play, and other teams haven't been able to duplicate it. So it is an advantage. So they maintain the advantage that they have of being able to run this play, and despite all these other teams trying to take this weapon away, this play, they weren't able to do it. So that's a huge win for the Eagles going into the season, because as far as I know, most of that offensive line is still intact. Cam Jurgens still going to be the center and performed it well coming in for Jason Kelce last year. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts can still squat 600 pounds.
Yeah.
So tush push moves on.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
The Houston Cougars did it. They've extended Kelvin Sampson through 2029.
You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start with Kelvin Sampson getting extended. Then I'll talk about Chris Nack and Isaiah Harwell getting recognized nationally and internationally. And yes, last but not least, we will touch on that BYU story and how it impacts Houston. Okay, so Kelvin Sampson extended. The details we've got that he's extended through the 2028-2029 season. That is a hefty 4 more years. People were worried about him as a man in his 60s, how much longer he wanted to do this. Now he has a lot of energy in his 60s, and if I am moving in that together and doing all the things like Kelvin Sampson is doing when I'm that age, I'm going to be a very happy man. Because frankly, there's days now where I'm in my 30s and I don't feel quite like that, if I'm being really honest. But there were people wondering like how close the guy was to retiring, hanging it up. We know his son, Kellen, is next in line to take over the program. Kellen's been named the coach in waiting, both officially and unofficially, for a while now. And so you're wondering when it's going to get handed off. Kellen has done the bulk of the recruiting. Houston has the number 1 class in 2025. Stands to reason that Kellen did do a big chunk of that recruiting. It stands to reason that he would continue to have that kind of success in the future. Kellen works with the forwards in the front court. Kellen handles a lot of things on the program. So at some point, you got to think they hand it off. You also had Quantis White, one of Kelvin's favorite assistants, take a head coaching job. Kelvin is ecstatic for him. I don't mean that they're upset about it, but that would be another easy way to hit the exit button here. Micah Conham, who is a Houston area guy and that Kelvin knows from many, many moons ago when they overlapped some in San Antonio, is not the same kind of player for Sampson that Quantis was, right? And so that replacement wasn't quite 1-to-1. It stands to reason that people wondered, like, what would come next? Now, I will say that Kelvin extending his career at Houston for the next 4 years, if they get, over 25 wins a season, he's got a real shot at being in the top 5 in terms of all-time wins as a college basketball coach. Even with 20 wins, he'll be inside the top 10 very soon. 20 wins a season, I should say, but in the top 10 very soon. At Houston, he's been to 7 straight NCAA tournaments. He's had a pair of Final Fours, 6 straight conference titles, 10 straight 20-win seasons. Really, really impressive resume just in his time at Houston. Never mind the extensive time at Washington State and Oklahoma and Indiana before that. And so I say all that to say that the guy can hang it up and go to the Hall of Fame whenever he wants, right? Like truthfully, just reviving the Houston Cougar program and getting it to where it is a Hall of Fame career in and of itself. But then you factor in everything else. If the guy said, hey, just kidding, I got to put the whistle up and left tomorrow, he's a Hall of Famer, right? That's just the way that is. And that extended to 2029, I think, is interesting because, it adds to this window of like, okay, getting Sampson that first title is important. I feel like, again, you were 65 seconds away from it a year ago or just a month ago. God, that feels so long ago. I don't want to think about that anymore. You were 65 seconds away from it then, right? You return a large chunk of this team. If Miles Uzan returns, you're returning 4 of the 8-man rotation. it's pretty good. I guess kind of 3 anyway of the 8-man rotation. So you feel good about that. It's also 3 starters, right? And Uzan and Sharp and Tugler, right? On top of that, you bring in one of the top transfers in Pop Isaacs to replace LJ Cryer at that 2-guard spot. Seems big, seems important. And on top of that, you bring in the number 1 recruiting class in America in 2025 with 3 5-star kids. I'm telling you that Bryce kid, he's going to be a hidden gem. Pay attention to that name. And so with all of that, it stands to reason that 2025-6 is going to be a big year for the program as well. But as you're reaching out, we mentioned in an earlier episode this week that he was in Memphis and in Omaha and watching these high-level AAU kids in classes of 2026s and 2027s and doing recruiting. It solidifies his stance as a recruiter to have on contract on the books. I will be at Houston at least this long, right? He has the right to retire whenever he wants to, and he has the Hall of Fame career to do so. But I think it really does help build the longevity of the program with that date being a little further out, right? It also, I think, kind of dispels the idea, and I bluntly had kind of thought it made some sense that he might have hung it up and retired had they won the title last month. I don't think that winning a title is going to end his career. I think he's probably trying to get a couple here before the end, and he's got the program set up to do it. He continues to dominate the Big 12, and while some of those wins are by the skin of your teeth, he's built a culture and is known now as the culture builder that wins those games by the skin of their teeth. That's kind of their thing. And anyway, it's interesting to see it all coming together. As contract details come out, what I'm going to be paying attention to, and what I hope you are as well, what kind of language they've got around the handing over of the program to Kellen, right? Can he hand it over before 2029? Can he hand it over before 2029 and be sure that Kellen gets it? Can he hand it over in 2029 and be sure that Kellen gets it? I think that'll all be yes, but we shall see, right? What do the contracts look like for his assistants? We know he's done this before where he's taken a minute to talk about the contract extension with administration to be sure that his assistants get treated fairly, correctly. He feels very paternalistic about his assistant coaches, not just because his son is one of them, but he's had quotes before about how he hires his guys and people that he feels something to take care of, some sort of an honor to take care of, right? Because if he won't hire guys that played for him or coached for him elsewhere, why would he expect anyone else to, right? So he wants to make sure those guys are taken care of. That makes sense. I want to see how they do that and what kind of stipulations they got in there on that. He's asked for things before that big blue blood programs have, like private jets and or at least access to one and things like that. And I think some people initially scoffed, but then when I tell you, well, last weekend he was bouncing between recruiting tournaments, big time AAU tournaments in Memphis and Cincinnati and Omaha, and he was kind of 3-wheel going all the way around. It makes some sense that he needs to be able to get to where he's getting when he needs to get there, right? Having to find commercial flights for that could be really, really challenging to say the least. And so I think that, what are those kinds of perks in his contract? Reports are that he is, as far as the dollar amount goes, remaining in that top portion of coaches in all of college basketball. That's somewhere, I'd imagine, around the $6 to $7 million range. We'll see that when the contract comes out. As a public school, it will come out, right? And so we'll see all of those details unfold as more comes to light.